'Cause I'm in the bathroom and I can't just wait there as I'm climbing up the stairs as I'm going to bed soon. I'm heading out to the bathroom. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. Can't spell the word live. It's time to eat the yams. Eat the yams to done. Then I gotta eat the yams. Hey, Lightning. Jesus Christ, you were so quick, yo. Copy video URL. Paste. Cut. And then where's the chat? Where is the chat? I'll put that in there. Well, this is the Manic episode for today, so we're still going to, what's up, friend Francesca? Yeah, I enjoy the hell out of Pokemon. Pokemon will always be like a thing I enjoy. That would never go away. Today it's kind of a casual one because I really don't want to talk about the expansion pass again. There's no real point in talking about the expansion pass again. So this will be more so talking about the Wii U port scenario because there's really nothing else like in terms of news coming out. Although I am scrolling news sites, gaming news sites to see if I missed anything. And if I did, you guys will let me know, I would assume, in the chat. If there's anything specific you guys want me to talk about. Also, I'm dumb because I didn't put up my Discord questions. Oh, what's a... Today's intro said 5 o'clock in the morning 2 weeks ago. Now I gotta eat yams. Like that Spotify playlist. Oh, hey, what's up? It's me, Yuki. Perry out's a fucking problem, bruh. He's that motherfucker to get you shot and be like, what, man? What happened? Looks like you ran into a bullet, dog. like, what the fuck, bruh? Like, what the fuck? That's the kind of shit Perry had to get you in trouble with, man. Be like, man, what happened, dog? Look like you ran into a bullet, dog. Why'd you let that happen to you, dog? Oh, shit. It's terrible. I mean, I like the anime's fine for right now. I haven't seen the latest episode. That will probably happen tonight when I put out the episode review. And me, like a dumbass, didn't make a thing in the Discord to ask questions. Let's see. Yeah, I need to make one on the Discord, but I didn't do it, which is me being lazy. So I apologize. What's up, Red Dragon? How you doing, boy? Have you completed the Pokédex? I have not. But we're primarily going to start this off talking about the Wii U port situation because there's been a rumor as of recently. Yeah, there's a rumor as of recently saying that supposedly we're going to get like 2 more Wii U ports that we don't know about. And considering we already have Tokyo Mirage Sessions coming out next Friday, I'm trying to, there's the list of Wii U ports is getting smaller and smaller. And let's be real here, as of the last few weeks, it has become kind of the topic of conversation in a way. And it kind of needs to be addressed. I kind of wanted to talk about it last week, and like I could not find the words whatsoever to like properly talk about it. But give me 1 second. I'm just gonna open up this box of Rice Krispie treats. For some reason, I was gonna go as magically delicious, but that's Lucky Charms. So obviously, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And then we'll kind of get into it. On the Discord, I'm gonna quickly make a section for podcast questions, and then you guys can shoot questions in there while I'm talking about this first main topic. So real quick, yeah, Talking Around Sessions is your buy for this month. That's understandable. So real quick, I'm gonna do it under the podcast. I made a podcast thing, but I didn't make a podcast questions. So let's do that real quick. Or is that another Manic episode? That's not how you spell another man. Okay, there we go. So if you go under the Discord, it now says podcast, and then under it says questions for AME. AME standing for another Manic episode. So if you want to ask questions there, you can do that. So throw your questions in there, and we're gonna start with this main topic stuff. You talking about Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? Yeah, I've seen that. I love that shit. Also, what's up, like your link? Because I have the Discord open on the left, and I'm gonna have the chat up here too. All right, cool. All right, let's do this. You watch The Secret Circle? I've never heard of The Secret Circle. I don't know what The Secret Circle is. But anyways, let's get into this bitch. So, like I said, we're talking Mirage Session, Sharp FE, Encore coming out Friday, and then all the other Wii U ports we gotten like from last year, and then there's a rumor we're getting 2 more Wii U ports this year that we don't know about. The port situation has become kind of a sore spot for Nintendo fans because, of course, everyone here is like a proponent of new games versus like fucking old ones. Hold on a second. No, that's not gonna work. This is what happens when you're unprofessional as fuck, kids. Nothing gets done. Of course, the first question is you. Lightning's too quick on the goddamn uptake is ridiculous. So here's the thing about the ports. When the PS4 and the Xbox One were first coming out, they were also consoles littered with ports. It was first party and third party because neither of them had like structurally sound backwards compatibility. So what you ended up getting for like the first year or so between those two consoles was like a couple of new games and a bunch of fucking ports. And Nintendo was backwards compatibility. They had it with the Wii, so there was no reason to port any Wii games. The only Wii port we got was in Twilight Princess. And Twilight Princess kind of doesn't count because it originally also was a GameCube game. So it's been kind of a weird situation. But the problem is with this over influx of ports in the last year or so, I feel like Nintendo fans have gotten a little antsy or offended at the ports we have been getting. Or just the idea of ports in general now. And I think there's become kind of a confusion or a misconception. That to me, ports by themselves are not bad. I don't think ports within themselves are bad. I think relying on ports as to replace new games is fucking lazy, but they're not like ports in themselves aren't bad. And I think Juice brought it because I primarily like I think a lot of T and Juice have been talking about it in the podcast the last few weeks, I want to say, going into months. And I understand the frustration, but I also feel like the frustration with Nintendo using ports is also bleeding into the idea of ports in general. Because I think it was T who said like ports diminish the legacy of like the previous console, whereas like remakes don't do the same thing. And back then I wanted to say something, but I couldn't really come up with the words. and I may not still have the words properly down, but like for consoles that can't like, considering Nintendo's been pretty consistent with the consoles, other than like the N64 to GameCube situation, because there was nothing you could do about that. And then and now the Switch situation from the Wii U. Like realistically, people always say, "Oh, that's a poor excuse to be like, well, they didn't sell well in the Wii U, so why not port them?" And they're like, "Well, that's a bad excuse because that's the legacy of the Wii U." And I'm like, "But that to me, that's not a problem. Why do you think people ask for GameCube Virtual Console so much?" Well, actually, that's not a good example. I probably say N64 is a better example because N64 literally has N64 got remade to death. A bunch of the N64's popular titles got remade or redone on newer consoles, like the GoldenEye remake, the Zelda ports to the 3DS, the Star Fox port. No, that wasn't N64. Well, no, Star Fox was. That was the N64 Star Fox. It skipped. Right? Or am I fucking that up? My issue with ports is how expensive they release ports. Well, the thing is that like ports aren't expensive to make. And like realistically, if your console sold like shit but the games were good, I feel like they should have a right as games, quality titles, to be put on consoles that have a bigger reach. I don't feel like there's a problem doing that within itself. I think the misconception comes in when people think that like that's all, like people are confusing the overusage of ports versus having them in general. Like for example, I think Juice said we were talking yesterday, Juice mentioned that he would rather have a port of like something like Tokyo Mirage Sessions versus a port of Mario 3D World, which makes sense because Mario 3D World was still financially successful. It may not have sold as well as for a Mario game, but it still was financially successful versus something like Tokyo Mirage Sessions that didn't sell well at all in anywhere. And Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I think, is generally a good game. And I think for certain titles, you have to look at the basis of the original release. Regardless of what console they started on, you have to look at the basis of the original release. Tokyo Mirage Sessions... Okay, I was wrong. Then it was Star Fox. Okay, so it was Star Fox. It skipped, and then we went from 2... We recently got Star Fox 2. Yeah, sorry. I don't have a favorite movie. She just asked me a bunch of questions. I don't mind Grand Theft Auto. I'm not really in love with it anymore, and I never watched Harry Potter films. But yeah, fucking Tokyo Mirage Sessions had a bunch of different issues with it when it released. Remember, it was announced in 2013. We didn't hear about it for like 2 years. Then when it was re-revealed, it was a completely different game than what people thought it was going to be. And then on top of both of those things, it also had a bunch of censorship issues. Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a game I think that generally deserved to be ported. I understand people had issues with Donkey Kong. And the fact that Nintendo didn't like downprice any of these is another problem in itself. Like Donkey Kong is actually more expensive on the Switch than it was the Wii U. Bayonetta 2 are about the same. I can understand people's issue with ports because of how they've been used, especially by Nintendo as of lately. But I don't think the concept of ports are bad. And I don't even think ports are bad. A lot of ports are bad as long as they're balanced out by a bunch of new titles. Like you can't release like 6 ports and then give me 2 new games. That's not the same like that's not equality. Like you can't, and I think that was the problem with 2018 with Switch. Is in 2018 it felt like they were relying a little bit too much on ports, and the new games weren't that new. But people act like the ports in themselves are bad. I'm like, the 3DS had a bunch of ports on it. 3DS had a bunch of ports on it from Nintendo. Remember, that's how they got through like the first year or so. Was with ports. Like with the, what was it, Star Fox, it was the 2 Zelda games. All, by the way, all N64 remakes. Well, I say remakes in the sense, well, I mean, they were remakes because they did change fundamental things about those games. But the point I'm making is, like, then we got, what, the Xenoblade 1, Like we got a bunch of ports on the 3DS at the beginning of its life cycle and at the end of the life cycle. That's just something that happens. Hell, we got ports of some of the older Square Enix titles and shit. Like getting the ports of Dragon Quest. What was it? Dragon Quest 7, 8, 9, was it? I want to say, or 6, 7, 8. I forget which one. But we got a lot. We got a lot of fucking ports, and no one complained about the 3DS getting ports. But for some reason on the Switch, it's like a whole nother problem. And because people are going to act like the whole, well, they didn't sell it on the previous console. That's a legitimate issue. Like, especially in a day and age when you can port these games. Like, back in the day, it wasn't as easy to port a fucking well, I'm not gonna say Super Nintendo. Probably say like a PlayStation 1 game to PlayStation. Well, see, the PS3 line was actually better because it always had PlayStation 1 backwards compatibility. And that's the trade-off. Nintendo was pretty consistent about backwards compatibility up until the Switch era and just said, fuck it. So, of course, the only way you can play those games is to play them. Hell, we got ports of the first 3 Dragon Quest games in the last, 6 months, I want to say. But for Switch games, there was no way to do backwards compatibility. So the only way to preserve some of those games is to do either a virtual console or port them. And the Wii U's too new to sit there and do a fucking virtual console for. Yeah, and a lot of people end up playing these games for the first time on newer systems. It's like Resident Evil 2 Remake is coming out. Here's some ports of Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Some people were introduced to Resident Evil through the remake of 2 and then went back and played the 4, 5, and 6. Like, there's nothing wrong with ports, but ports can, just like any other practice in video games, can be abused. Same thing that actually applies the same thing to DLC. Where for some reason people think that DLC is inherently evil. It's not DLC is inherently evil. DLC just leads to a lot of abuse. You can abuse DLC like a motherfucker. And that's what I think bothers people, is the abuse. So, and the problem is that the abuse is so rampant, especially with DLC. People assume that, like, people just are turned off on the idea entirely. Although I think the DLC thing is somewhat, I'm not going to say mellowed out, but it's definitely metered, like it's been on a downslope in terms of abuse. It's still not handled the greatest on certain companies, but it's not like as heavily as abused as it used to be. Like another game I think that should be ported is like the Wonderful 101 or the Fatal Frame 5, because once again, those are 2 Wii U games that got shitty fucking deals done to them. I'm gonna go check real quick, but if I remember correctly, I can tell you Fatal Frame 5's problem. Fatal Frame 5's problem, and to be fair, Fatal Frame's problem with Nintendo in general is that Nintendo went through a weird period where they just would not release any of those games in the States. Like, I think 4 was on Wii. I don't think was ever released in the States, and I think they did like a remake of 1 or 2, and that was another game that was like. That was another game that Nintendo had that like we never saw. But let me check. Fatal Frame. I'm just gonna check real quick if I remember correctly. Because Fatal Frame only has 5 main games. You have, yeah, they re-released Fatal Frame 2. Was it just 2 and? I thought they re-released more than 2. Also, where the hell is Fatal Frame 4? Or was it not called 4? 5 did not sell well. And 5 was also download only in the States and a very limited release when it came to Europe. Europe had like a couple physical copies. That was the only place you can get it, and that was it. Yeah, Fatal Frame 5 only sold a little bit over 100,000. Yo, Fatal Frame 5 is just hard to constantly keep saying. That's a game I'm 100% cool with seeing a Wii U port of. I'm seeing a port to Switch. Because that series doesn't get a lot of love in the first place. If we look at the Wonderful 101, which I think sold okay, from what I remember. I'm going to have to check. what did you sell, Wonderful? I know you didn't sell great. You sold 300,000. You sold 300,000, which is kind of a shame. And where the hell is Astral Chain at right now? Although Platinum Games tends to have issues getting their games over like 1 million anyway. Certain titles just don't hit it like that. Astral Train does it even have numbers for it? I know the developer said it sold well enough, but I don't know what that really means in terms of financials. And as soon as I looked up Astral Chain, it fucking crashed on me. That's great. No, VG Charts doesn't even have fucking numbers for it. Particularly probably because it's too new. It's offered people more challenge, more to the game like characters, new storylines, and tools to use. Yeah, I can agree with that with DLC. That's why the Pokemon DLC doesn't bother me. Like the problem I have is that like people were so into the Pokemon, so people who were against the Pokemon DLC but buy the third versions of games seems asinine to me because that's essentially DLC in the form of a new game. See, handhelds weren't able to do DLC longer than consoles. Like we got DLC for consoles in the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii era. But we didn't get like DLC for handhelds until realistically, technically the DS could do it. No one really did it on the DS. I would say it more came up during the 3DS era. And then Pokemon never did it. Because they were releasing games like every fucking year. Which is a problem in its own right, but hey, we can't do anything about it. But yeah, like those are the Wii U ports I'm cool with. Like the Mario 3D World port, I don't think is a bad idea, but I know people would be mad because it's like, actually, how much did Mario 3D World sell? I know it sold relatively well because Mario games tend to sell pretty well, but I don't remember the specifics. I don't think it sold as well as Land did, but it still sold well. Because Land sold 12 million, 3D World sold almost 6 million. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then if you look at Donkey Kong, because people had an issue with Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze's port. Let's look. Donkey Kong Country Returns sold 6.5. Where the hell is the Wii U one? That one sold almost 2 million. And the Switch version's already beat it. The Switch version already beat it. Right now, the Wii U version is sitting at 1.98 million, and the Switch version is sitting at almost 2.25 million. So collectively, that game has already made about 4 million and some change. I think Nintendo's sitting on 3D World like they did with Super Mario Brothers U. I mean, yeah, and I'm also curious what you could add to that one. Let's see. Yeah, that's true. I agree. No more event Pokemon. That was a problem. Hey, Jazz. I'm just talking. I'm trying to like be more positive towards ports. Like I'm not necessarily a fan of all ports, but I'm not like inherently against the porting process in general. Like I said, I think the way Nintendo's been handling it has made people jaded against the idea of ports in general, and that's my problem. Because ports by themselves aren't really bad. People seem to forget that everything that you buy nowadays is behind a paywall. British, could you like explain in more detail? I'm just curious. I want to address that, but I need to make sure I have what you're saying correct. So that's why I don't want to say anything yet. Actually, let's look where the hell the Bayonetta ports are at. I'm just curious where Bayonetta is. Because Bayonetta... Because of the Bayonetta games, I think they said the PS3 version sold the most, which is what? 1.5 million. Bayonetta 2 on Wii U sold... If the page fucking loads, I can check. This is the struggle I go through, guys. VG charts cannot be trusted. And then it fucking crashes on me. We have like 4 of them. We're about to have a PS4 port, remember. It's Xbox 360, PS3, Wii U, Switch, PC, and then PS4, Xbox One. The Wii U version didn't even sell 1 million. And hell, the Switch version didn't sell 1 million. The Switch version only sold 500,000. Bayonetta 2, for some reason, is just a game that is hard to sell. It sucked, but it is. I mean, there's an Xbox One. Yeah, and then you have the bundle. That's what it was. Bayonetta is just a title that struggles in general. I did not get the Spider-Man DLC yet, and I did not finish Nier. Yeah, so there's more of those. No, the Bayonetta 2 is at like a little bit over 500,000. Bayonetta is just a niche franchise. Like the fact that it was on like the 360 and the PS3, and they each only sold. Hell, the 360 version of Bayonetta, which was the superior version of the game, didn't even sell 1 million, which is nuts. Bayonetta is niche. People gotta understand that shit. Like, Bayonetta is not a franchise that, like, for all intents and purposes, is like a high-end franchise. It got a lot of play because of its character and because Nintendo ended up getting the character, but like, fucking Bayonetta just does not sell like that. It sells okay, I guess, enough for like. Well, actually, it didn't, because if it did sell enough, then other companies would have bought it. They just thought it wasn't worth the money to put into it. That's one of the reasons why it took until Nintendo to put interest in it. That one might sell well, but that'll probably be more so for Vanquish than Bayonetta, I would think. Bayonetta already has like a good port on PC. No, I'm streaming. Just leave it at the door. Which is funny because Devil May Cry sells better than Bayonetta. Actually, is that the first 3 games? Yeah, Devil May Cry is historically sold better than Bayonetta. Devil May Cry 1, 2, 4. I'm actually surprised considering people don't like 2. Yeah, almost all. I think even Devil May Cry 3. And that's its contemporary. They saved it from being only one game, but they didn't. In terms of its sales, if it still doesn't sell well, it doesn't matter. That's the point I'm making. Bayonetta was doomed to being a niche, complex action game tend to go under the radar. That's true. Which is weird because Devil May Cry for some reason had more like presence. Actually, did they even put the sales out for 5? 5 I know has sold. Why do they not have the numbers for 5? That's weird. I know Devil May Cry 5 sold well. Well, let me check. They don't have the sales number for Devil May Cry 5. That's why I'm asking. Let's see. But the point I'm making is, like, those are the ports I was cool with. Like, Bayonetta didn't bother me. Because Bayonetta was a niche franchise and 2 was stuck on the Wii U. There was no reason not to give that game another shot. Hyrule Warriors made sense because the Koei Tecmo game giving me a definitive edition. That one made sense. Captain Toad, I get it. That one was probably one of the fairer ports. New Super Mario Brothers, I think, is one of the fairer ports. And a lot of people are like, I'd rather have new games over old games. But they're implying that every one of these titles was going to get a sequel. Captain Toad was an experimental game. Bayonetta already had a 3rd game announced. Donkey Kong, I don't know. DK has a very weird touch and go kind of relationship with Nintendo because of who develops their games and what Donkey Kong's identity is going to be. A lot of these ports, a lot of Wii U games were experimental as fuck. And the ones you cared about got sequels. Mario Maker got a sequel. Splatoon got a sequel. And I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, but what about the Wii U's legacy? And I'm like, I get it. The Wii U's legacy will not be diminished by ports. It'll be diminished by people who remember the console. The less people who remember the console fondly, because pretty much a big thing in retro gaming is that, like, playing the best version of a retro title. And the argument would be is that now the Wii U doesn't even have the best version of certain games, which is true, but like that's what happens in time anyway. Like the GameCube doesn't have the GameCube has some advantages, like the fact that arguably it still has some of the better ports of Resident Evil 4 of the older consoles, but like you can go on PC and play Resident Evil 4 and it play better than the GameCube version. I think because Captain Toad to me made more sense than 3D World. Captain Toad was an experimental game. Like that makes way more sense than 3D World, which is just another mark. When you have Odyssey, you didn't need 3D World. 3D World doesn't do anything. Like Odyssey was such a bigger game that there was no need to do 3D World. Not saying they won't still do it. I'm just saying there was no rush for it. And they might just be doing this to keep the name share alive. I'm not saying Mario needs it, but still. Also, let me go back and look at British Pokemon's comment. For example, if you go and buy it to the store and buy something, and then you go to the till, and you don't have enough money, and you cannot buy it. If that is what I mean by saying everything's behind the pay. If you go to the store and buy something, and then you go to the till, and you do not have to. I don't know what is the till? What is the TILL? What is the? Then you go to the till, and you do not have enough money, and you cannot buy it. Or is that like the teller? Is that what you meant? Yeah, that line still doesn't make sense to me. Let's see. It's weird. Even Devil May Cry 5 only sold like 2.7 million, which is great for Devil May Cry, but like for some like long-running franchises, you're like, that's not a lot. But these ports make sense for the most part. Wii U will be a mirror console that you can be used for something similar for Switch. A lot of people are going to look at the Wii U as a stepping stone. Well, that wasn't going to change depending on what games are on it. That's what the Wii U feels like considering what the Switch is. The Wii U feels like a stepping stone. It felt like we had an idea and we knew where we were going, but we couldn't like realize it. So we struggled for 4 years and finally got the console that had its shit together, up and running, and that's the one that sold. But I'm just saying, like, there's a good chunk of and just for the out of curiosity, I'll ask you guys, what 2 Wii U titles do you think they're gonna port? Like, what Wii U games do we have left? Oh, it means cash register. Okay. So let me go back and read that. And you go to the cash register and you don't have enough money and you cannot buy it. That's what I mean by everything's. That's kind of confusing. Because at that point, that's just like basic economics. Like, you're buying an item. I mean, the paywall in the sense that everything costs money. I see what you're saying, but it's essentially you're just saying that everything costs money. Everything has to be bought. I get it. Oh, y'all being savages. Wii U Land, Smash. Actually, when I look at the Wii U exclusives, let's look. Let's look at Wii U exclusives. I'm just curious. what this even entails. Because I don't think there's a lot left. You got... It's not... Alright, so we had a bunch of Amiibo and Animal Crossing Festival. That's not it. Armillo, which I don't know if that's still... I don't know if Armillo is still Wii U exclusive. Dr. Luigi... Fast Racing Nero. It'd be Fatal Frame, Pikmin 3, Paper Mario Color Splash. These other ones have sequels, so I'm not counting Mario Tennis or Mario Party or Mario and Sonic. Lost Reavers, the Zelda remakes, or HD Zelda games, Xenoblade, Wonderful 101, the Wii U. The Wii Fit U, which I'm going to say Ring Fit takes over that. Wii Party, Wii Sports Club, 3D World, Star Fox, and I think that's it. And if I had to pick of those two, if I had to pick two games out of that group, if I wanted to be objective, if I was talking about the two I cared about the most, it'd probably be Fatal Frame and Wonderful 101. If we're talking about the two I care about the most. The two it's more realistic to be. And it also depends on which of these games are getting sequels. See, a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, making a Xenoblade Chronicles export seems kind of unnecessary if you're about to come out with a Xenoblade remake. Like, it just seems redundant. Because who the fuck's playing two Xenoblade games back to back? If Pikmin 3 actually has a sequel... I mean, Pikmin 3 has a sequel and Pikmin 4 is real and that's coming out this year. There's no point in porting Pikmin 3 right now unless you're porting it now and like Pikmin 4 comes out in the holidays. Fatal Frame is the one I don't know they're going to make a new game for, and we already know they're not working on one. Fatal Frame would make sense to me. And Wonderful 101 would make sense to me because there's no guarantee that's gonna get a port. I mean, that's gonna get a sequel. But things like the Zelda remakes, unless Breath of the Wild wasn't coming out, Lost World, I doubt. That would have to be like a Sega agreement, and I don't even know. We don't even know what Sega's doing with Sonic in general. No, they said Wii U ports. Hey, what's up, Tight Sad? Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. For me. And then there's like Rabbids Land, which is a Ubisoft title. If we're talking Nintendo games, Paper Mario would be the other one. Because Paper Mario, we don't know what their plan is with Paper Mario. I mean, actually, how well did Paper Mario Color Splash even sell? I don't think it even sold that well because of how janky they wanted to do that whole thing. But let's look. Paper Mario. And then I can't spell paper because I'm stupid. I'm so goddamn stupid. What's up, Antrite? Yeah, actually, I would say I agree with that. Nintendo does not do collections for shit. And that's probably more frustrating for some of these games. That's what it would have helped Donkey Kong. If Donkey Kong had the Wii and the Wii U game in there for the Switch port, that would have been way better. So, Paper Mario Color Splash sold. Do they even have sales for this? Oh, it almost sold 1 million, so that's not as bad as I thought it was. It actually sold almost 1 million. It's like at 0.8. It's at 870,000. So it sold okay. But it is like definitely one of the lowest. It is one of the lowest fucking ports. Also, why does VG Charts have a Nintendo Switch version of Color Splash? I would hope to God they wouldn't do that for Color Splash, because Color Splash is not one of those games that needs a fucking port in any way, shape, or form. That could be like a fake one. Because I don't think this exists. I don't even know why this is out here. Unless it's a spoiler. I'm not sure. It is like, it's literally like these, I think it is the second, no, it's the lowest selling Paper Mario game. Yeah, it looks like it's the lowest selling Paper Mario game. The original Paper Mario sold better. Although it's not like the sales for these games have been pretty in and out anyway. Like the top three Paper Mario games is Super Paper Mario for the Wii, Paper Mario Sticker Star for the 3DS, and then Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. And the only one that people really love of those three games is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. So Paper Mario is another possible one, but see, Color Splash. From what I remember, people's issue with Color Splash was the battle system. Like people liked the story and the characters. They didn't necessarily care for the fact that Paper Mario Color Splash suffers from modern Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi syndrome, where they weren't allowed to have unique characters and shit. That's like my issue with like some of the like Mario Luigi Paper Jam suffers that. There's one before that, but like they suffer that because they just fucking they stuck them in this box where they can only do like established Mario characters and they couldn't make up their own. That sucks. Oh, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is great. What else? Well, that's true. You could do that for Zelda. And Star Fox, maybe. See, I will agree. Juice said this in his thing where he was like, the next direct will tell a lot. Which is very fucking true. The next direct is going to kind of set the standard for the rest of this year. And it's going to give us an idea of which things are coming and which things aren't. I'm hoping at least one of those. I'm hoping if they're going to port Wii U titles, they keep porting like the niche ones. Don't port these high-end ones. That although I respect them in terms of their like contribution, like they're not the ones who need all the love and attention though. That's my problem. Let's see. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to now look at some of the questions. You guys can still talk in the chat. I'm not taking that away from you, but like I'm gonna look at some of the questions from Discord. So if you have questions you want to ask, throw them in the Discord. It's easy to keep track of them. Fuck you, studio. That's my first thing. The studio's like, can you feel it, Mr. Krabs? Yeah, no. No, I can't feel a goddamn thing, Mr. Krabs. And the other thing is from Lightning asking about the Masuda tweet. So essentially, for those who don't know, what essentially happened is that I think today is a holiday in Japan, and it's also Junichi Masuda's birthday, and a fan essentially like asked him, "Can you please explain at charging us for adding in Pokemon?" Essentially, like it was another one of those like, oh, the expansion pass, you're charging me $30 to get 200 Pokemon when those should have been in the game in the first place. And Masuda's like, bro, it's my birthday and it's a holiday. Can we not do this today? And he's like, oh, okay, I'll ask later. And he's like, and it's one of those things where like, I understand. I guess the one thing I was happy about is at least he was understanding once he told him that, hey, this is my birthday and it's a holiday. Can we not do this? Although it's also under the impression that he's going to answer him later. Spoiler alert, he's not going to answer him later. Because none of these business dudes do that. It's kind of dickish. It's hard. I wouldn't call, a lot of people call it harassment. It's not really harassment. I mean, it's him being a dick. But like harassment would be like going into this like hate-filled tangent. And like I said, he was at least understanding about the fact that it was his birthday and holiday, and was like, all right, I'll ask later. But it's still kind of like, why though? Like, why do that? But see, the problem is we took criticizing Game Freak to turn it into harassing the developers about dumb shit. It's hard for me to view that as like full-blown harassment, but it definitely isn't like great. Like, it's one of those things where like you have the right to ask the question, but why though? So that's my whole thing. Like, I get it, but he wasn't like overly belligerent about it, and he also didn't like keep hounding him after the fact. So I feel like they're gonna roast the fuck out of him because it's now a news article, which in some ways might be worse. Like the harassment might come to this person, but then again, Golden Nintendo I don't think even linked the tweet. I think all they did was like just copy what he said. That was it. Let's see. If you didn't link the tweet, we'll be fine. But if you link the tweet, that might be a problem. Well, it's not even there, so you can't see it now. But I think that's literally what it was. Is that it was his birthday and people were talking to him about the DLC. I think that's really what it boiled down to. And it's dickish, but it's nothing crazy. Like, to me, it's not even newsworthy. I feel like if you had just let it slide under the rug, would have been better of a choice. Personally. That's just me. I was One Piece chapter. I don't think the one came out today. I thought the next one wasn't until the 19th, from what I remembered. I don't think the chapter comes out. I think the next one comes out on the 19th. Yeah, it's like 7 days. So yeah, it's the 19th. So there is no chapter today. Yeah, there is no chapter today. Also, what's up, Lazy One? He probably even shouldn't even be on it. Oh, here we go. We got another one for Red Dragon. Do you think making expansions for games is a cheap way to charge people money for more content? Depends on what the expansion is. Like, a lot of people are gonna make the argument that like Smash Brothers DLC is expensive. Because think about it. If the base game comes out with what was it, 75 fighters, I think, at launch, or 80, I forget which. I think it's around like 75 fighters for $60. That means you're paying like less than $1 per character. But when the DLC comes out, you get a character, stage, and music for $6. That technically doesn't equate. Technically, it wouldn't. But no one would say Smash Brothers DLC is like overly egregious. It's about what it is. Oh, so your birthday is when Token Mirage Sessions comes up. Oh yeah, the last one, was it more for the color page? Is that why you were hyping it up? Also, what's up, Twin Daggers? The only thing I didn't like about the last chapter of One Piece was the fact that Jinbei's in the color page as a straw hat. But that's a personal thing for me, because I don't like the idea of Jinbei being a straw hat. But that's me. That hasn't changed. I'm not as like angry about it, but I still don't like it. If we had to be real about it. I mean, expansions can help people done right, like Pokemon games. Yeah, I gotta remind myself to tell him happy birthday next Friday. I don't know if you're in the Discord. If you're not British, Pokemon 1991, which is funny. I think we're probably the same age then. You're older than me by like a couple of months, but like, nah, it's more like 5 months. Also, what's up, Sora-san? But yeah, I mean, expansions, they can be abused. I don't think they're bad for, like, I like the Xenoblade one. The Xenoblade Chronicles 2 expansion was great. It all depends on the developer, and it all depends on what the base game was. The base game is a heavy influence on whether or not the expansion is worth the money. And even then, even if the base game is meaty, if the expansion is announced before the base game comes out, that can fuck with people already. There's so many factors when it comes to expansions and DLC. Well, I mean, we've been in flashbacks for like the last month or two, it feels like. So that might be part of the reason why that Wano isn't hidden with you. We're literally in flashbacks. We've been in flashbacks for I don't know how many chapters. Actually, probably could check. How many chapters have we been in flashbacks? It's been a while. Let's look. We're at 967. Let's go to 963. Let's go to 962. Yeah, we've been fucking flashbacks for almost 7 chapters. Actually, I think it is 7 chapters. Or is it 8? Yeah, we've been in flashback for like 7 chapters. That's part of the reason. Well, cool. Glad to have you in the Discord. Oh, you mean just overall? I mean, I can understand it. It's kind of janky in its execution. It's kind of the reason why I enjoy it, though, to a degree. But it is very janky. Let's see. Red Dragon. Well, no, Remind is what I consider. A lot of people view Sword and Shield and Remind as the same thing. I would argue Sword and Shields isn't as bad as Remind's. Remind's was literally, actually, if I remember right, isn't Remind's like $30 fucking dollars? It's being sold as like a separate game, and I'm like, Remind, because like, first off, Kingdom Hearts. Actually, you know what? Let's compare. What was Kingdom Hearts playtime? What is the average playtime for Kingdom Hearts 3? Because I know it's pretty fucking short. It's one of the shortest I think it is the shortest Kingdom Hearts game. I know it's the shortest mainline Kingdom Hearts game. I'm trying to see how long did it take people to beat Kingdom Hearts 3? The main story was 30 hours? It does not, I don't know if I agree with that. That seems, it was 30 hours. That's a little surprising. That's what people say. The main game was 30 hours. Then they said Sword and Shield was 25 hours. Although Kingdom Hearts 3 had a bunch of extras in it. That was like its main. That's what helped it a lot. Although it wasn't like, even that Kingdom Hearts, like, extra shit wasn't anything crazy. Remind just comes out to me. My issue with Remind is that Remind is literally everything people wanted in the main story given to you as a separate game / DLC pack. I don't think Sword and Shields are as offensive as that. Some people tend to disagree with me. Max Blake, Remind. Yeah, I don't fucking, but Remind is a ripoff. I don't, because Remind, and all I saw was like Remind is like, it just gives extra boss fights. It lets you use the models that are already in the game as battlers. Like, it's not even new content. It's literally, it seems like it's like, because a lot of people are like, oh, it takes place after the main game. Like, no, it takes place like in the middle of the last section of the game. Like, it's a little bit of the main game during that plot line, and then a little bit after. Actually, it takes place before the secret ending. I think it all takes place before the secret ending of the game. It's like an in-between of the end of the game and before the secret ending. And I'm curious how long. When doesn't Remind come out soon? Actually, now that I think about it, doesn't Remind come out? When does that come out? It comes out next. No, it comes out. Actually, it comes out in like 2 weeks. It comes out on the 23rd on PlayStation. So it doesn't come out next Thursday, but it comes out the Thursday after that. That's kind of nuts. That's actually pretty fucking nuts. And then how much was it again? I think it was 30. Yeah, it was 30. It was 30 for...
Hi there, Warby Parker here.
Oh, motherfucker.
As you may know, we sell eyeglasses and sunglasses.
Fucking ads, yo. Yeah. Let's see. We get the story mode, Remind. Mm, they say the limit cut episode, 13 boss battles, secret episode, boss battle, data greeting feature, slideshow feature, premium menu, diverse difficulty settings, and gameplay challenges. Um, and then you got the $40 version, which includes the free DLC version 1.07, which I don't know what that is. I think that's literally just everything that's in Remind. So that's what I'm looking at. I think it's the everything in Remind, plus a main story update, plus new abilities added, plus the Oath Keeper and Oblivion, and form changes added, in-game requirements can acquire keyblades. That's kind of. The funny is, I could be playing ads and I don't do that. Also, yeah, Kakarot comes out next week, which I'm looking to see when that comes out. To be fair, the Remind DLC seems like it's adding a lot, but it's adding what like a lot of people would view as like in-game shit. I'm also curious how much of this is new boss battles and not just reworked, because it says 13 boss battles, but the 13 boss battles could easily be. I know some of them are reskinned already because they're just essentially you. The only thing that's changed is that you are not playing as the character you should have been playing as in some of those fights, but the fights are probably going to be about the same. The premium menu is telling us to balance the game ourselves. Oh, Jesus Christ. Y'all are savages. Can't take y'all nowhere, bruh. How is everyone even feeling about Kakarot? Because I heard it reviewed well in Japan, but that's it. That is literally it. I've heard nothing else. Also, wait, is Kelly you? I guess that's you. Anyways, that's besides the point anyway. But yeah, like, well, yeah, March is gonna be fucking insane. Kingdom Hearts fans don't care if it costs $30. Pokemon fans are getting upset over expansions. Pokemon fans are getting upset over expansions because only half the fan base even cared about it. The other half was concerned about Sinnoh remakes, which was fucking stupid because these are the same people who thought Game Freak are incompetent developers. If you think Game Freak are incompetent developers, why would you then want them to touch one of your favorite games in the franchise? That doesn't make any fucking sense. To me, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, cool. Let's see. It looked good to me, and I heard Masako X. He's played the demo of it. I'm super like suspicious. I'm curious. I want to see when that game comes out how people feel about it. I personally don't like the fact that people who don't follow Pokemon are talking about how they know. Well, because people think they know because Pokemon's so simple, but it's not the case. Some Pokemon fans legitimately just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. If we're being real here, some of them genuinely do not know. And it's stupid. It's so fucking stupid. But unfortunately, the joy of the internet is that you can insert yourself into a different situation and claim a bunch of shit you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And why? Because you, sir or madam, are an individual who has a Twitter account. And that's all it is. That's all it fucking is. I think Pokemon is still a fine franchise, but I think the fan base is gonna kill it more than than Game Freak will. Yeah, I'll probably play Resident Evil 3. I like Resident Evil 2, so I might play Resident Evil 3 remake. We can't do the only reason why we won't be able to do the Resistance is because I refuse to pay for PSN for PlayStation. Particularly because I don't have a lot of games on there I care to play online. And I'm already playing for Switch online, and I really don't like paying. Realistically, Switch was the first gaming console I paid for online for, and I didn't even want to fucking do that. But I had to. So I'm not trying to make it a habit to spend online for PlayStation 4, especially because I would barely use it. I feel like I don't even use the Switch one that much. The Switch one at least is $20, so it didn't hurt me as much. Oh yeah, Twitter is pretty toxic. Twitter, and the problem is, depending on what fan base you're in, it can get more and more toxic as time goes on. And nobody wants to put up with that shit. Christ. Wish I could stream PC games. I can stream PC games. I just run the issue of I have to lower the settings because I'm also streaming and playing the game on the same thing. Part of the reason why I want a new capture card is for that reason. Because I could get one that's like built into the PC and it would probably be easier to use. Yeah, PSN's like $60. Hence why I don't want to pay for it. At least with the fucking Nintendo Switch Online, it's only $20 a year. And to me, I feel like I get bonuses that I'm cool with. Like the online vouchers were great. The fact that I could spend $100 and get 2 games for essentially $50. I use that on Marvel and I use that on Dragon Quest. So I got both of those games $10 off. I only own them digitally, which I think is somewhat of an advantage because now I don't have to fucking like pull out a cartridge. What's my favorite game of all time? I don't have one game. I do plan to do that. I do plan to have like multiplayer nights. I'm going to hit you guys. And that's why I said join the Discord and be kind of active in the Discord. I'm trying to build up the Discord because I need to do that. I plan to have multiplayer nights. I think realistically what we need to do is like have a chat in there and see what games everybody owns and then kind of build some gaming nights around those games. Because I don't know every game you guys own and every game I own for that shit to work. So yeah. I kind of go in and out of One Piece where I'll watch the episodes casually, but I'm not like I'm not trying to see everything. It depends on how many mouths you want online. You fucking savage. Static can't take your ass nowhere, son. Lord almighty. Yeah, that's why I say Nintendo Switch Online is really cheap. So if it's like Nintendo games, it's easier for me because I already have the online. Nintendo or PC games are the easiest for me because I already have the online. But that's always, like I said, it's up to you guys because like us playing together only works if you guys also have the game. Yeah, it's like like if you wanted to get Nintendo Switch Online for like a month, you're only paying like $3, $3 to $5, I think. I don't even think it's $5. I think it's like $2 to $3. I haven't looked because I don't see any point in buying like Nintendo Switch Online for a month. I would just get it for the year because $20 ain't gonna kill me. $6 is a whole game. That's a whole different experience. I also like the fact that Nintendo's reward system isn't tied in to their online where it is for PSN and Xbox. It is where you can get discounts on certain games with your fucking you can get discounts on certain games with your Xbox Live or PSN Plus. But like with the gold coin system, as long as I buy games digitally, regardless if I have the online or not, I can still take advantage of that discount. That's the shit I like. Do you the Final Fantasy VII Remake think will be good? I mean, people are going to eat that game up regardless because it's Final Fantasy VII. I don't personally care because I'm not in the mood of buying broken-ass games. When I say broken-ass games, I mean in the sense of like broken up, not like the game itself is broken. Yeah, Mystery Dungeon's kind of a weird series, like, and I wasn't into it. Is it dropping it for $15, bruh? I'm so tempted. DOA 6 is a game I want to play, but I also don't want to buy it on PSN because I won't be able to play that shit online. I want to get it on Steam, but I think right now on Steam it's still like $60. Let's look. Let's look. Where the hell is the store page? Sorry, I'm just doing this in the moment. I'm just looking. Let's see. But I think it's still like, yeah, it's still $60. Dead or Alive is the one I want. Did I ever buy a Seagate for PS4? I don't know what Seagate is. The only Seagate I know of is like a fucking hard drive brand. External hard drive brand. For PS4, it's like I mean, Inuyasha is fine, but recognize Inuyasha has a lot of fucking filler in it. It's $30 for 3 months. That's too much to me, bro. At that point, I might as well just spend the $60. Why the fuck would I would spend $30 for 3 months when I could spend $60 twice that and get it for another, what, 8 months? No, 9 months. I'm sorry. We don't talk about Final Fantasy. And the funny thing is Final Fantasy 13 is the next game that'll probably ported everything. Because it's the only new Final Fantasy that's left you could port. Let's see. I don't like Gen 4 to begin with, so I don't need a Gen 4 remake. If you're talking about my favorite Pokemon girl and boy, my favorite girl is probably Hilda. Hilda? Yeah, probably Hilda. And then my favorite boy is probably Brendan. I like Brendan a lot. In terms of like design anyway. Yeah, the hard drive. Yeah, I have external hard drives. But that's besides the point. But at this point, we're just rambling, and we can do that in the Discord. And the reason why I say that is because... Oh, any opinions on the Crunchyroll Awards? Oh, no. I don't even want to look at that shit. People were mad. I saw people were mad when they saw Luffy versus Katakuri wasn't on there for, like, best fight. So I know people are mad, son. I haven't looked at everything. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna delete everything but probably Kelly's. I'll probably touch on Kelly's. I'll either touch on Kelly's like in the anime chat, or we'll talk about it later. But right now I gotta go. But sorry. I saw the Crunchyroll Awards and I was like, bruh, I don't even know what Crunchyroll is, bruh. I'm just watching VRV. I'm just watching VRV in this bitch. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anywho, thanks though. But yeah, join the Discord. I need to build this shit up. And it's gonna take time, but that's the goal. Have some interesting conversations and talk to people and create like a legit community, because I feel like that's something we should be able to do. I feel like we have too much dead zone going on. That's the problem. It makes it easier. Because a lot of you have a bunch of questions and shit that like don't fit into these kind of episodes. So yeah, we're gonna focus on that, and then eventually I might like have people on for certain episodes in advance. So that's another thing. Anywho, though, that's all I got to say today. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the support. Follow me on Twitch, here, Twitter, and Discord. Those are like the 4 main ones. And with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. Life's a game. Play to win. Later days, and I will catch you all later. What kind of fucking hand motion is this? It's like I'm trying to scrape up the ground. Diggersby, though. Diggersby, though. Diggersby, though. Later, guys. Have a good one.